It's a crazy time. Imagine 1 year from now if all of a sudden you were running for Congress. That's what it's like for me. Because if there's one thing that I'm not a politician. I went to my first party convention 2 months ago, and you know, it's time that we now, instead of sending a career politician back to Washington, D.C., we send a member of the community, a citizen, to go there and clean up the mess. My opponent, John Dingell, will thank him for his service. Let him go spend some time with his grandkids. I mean, we couldn't be more different. John Dingell moved to Washington, D.C. at age 7 when his father was elected to Congress. He went to private school there, and he's never been back. He was elected to Congress in 1955. Some of you were born by then. I'm not one of them.
You're not married to a home wrecker.
Yeah, and in fact, back then, you could buy a first-class stamp for 3 cents. Couldn't be more different. I grew up in a small town in western Michigan, the agricultural county, a manufacturing town. Went to public schools there. Came off the University of Michigan, 4th generation. Back when some of the football players in the back. The reason that my family ended up here at the University of Michigan is because my grandfather came off the ranch in South Dakota to play football for Fielding Yost in 1921. I made it through med school, loans, work at UAW for 2 summers in the auto plant, making auto parts. If you've got a Blazer full-size mid-70s, I made the top. If you've got a Trans Am, I made the spoiler. If you've got a Delta 88, I made the front. If you've got a Corvette, I made the T-top. It's crazy. I graduated from the University of Michigan Medical School at age 23, went off and last 29 years working hard as a physician the whole time. Worked full-time, actually, through Labor Day. Worked yesterday all day long, saw 20 patients. What we need in Washington, D.C. are people who interface in the community and live under the rules that are passed by Congress instead of being a career politician who pretty much does whatever they want. I've been asked over and over, why in the world would you run for Congress? In fact, my wife is here somewhere. She's a physician also. We've got 4 kids. My youngest, my 14-year-old, is here. She, can I have my 14-year-old raise her hand? She's like shrinking onto the ground by now. Because what could be more embarrassing than for a 14-year-old to have her dad up talking on the steps in front of the grad library? In fact, the grad library, I used to come here at 7 in the morning and study for 12 hours. It's crazy. 4 kids, 1 graduated from college, 2 in college, 1 in public schools here. What we've got, and people ask me, why am I running? I say, that's easy. I didn't want to get to be 80 years old, look back, and not be able to say to my grandchildren that I didn't stand up and take action to protect your future like the greatest generation protected mine. My grandfather marched through Europe in World War I. He joined the Navy at age 42 with 4 children. My dad joined the Navy the day he finished. My father-in-law marched through Europe with Patton's Army. And they gave us this opportunity. Right now we have a... I know there's another back here, thank you for serving. Right now we have a Congress that thinks a financial plan is to max out the credit cards of the people that aren't born yet. They think that's what the plan is in the financial world. I would call that the theft of opportunity for generations to come, and that's what we need to stop. We need to stop the out-of-control spending and let the future generations determine their own future and not determine it before them. Let them work for their families and their community and not to pay government debt created without their permission. We need to have some accountability in Washington, D.C. It's the simplest thing in the world. You ask somebody in Congress, you ask a congressman, what's your real title? Representative? Representative. Well, what do? Pretty much whatever I want. Because I don't care what you want. I'm going to do what I think is best. Because you're my people. That's what Congressman John Dingell says. I'll take care of my people. And he's got it backwards. You are the boss. The representative is the employee. And we, as representatives, do what you want. So we need accountability. We need a representative that will represent. That seems simple enough. How about this? How about having Congress that follows the laws they pass? How complicated is that? Many of you are business owners. You operate on financial rules and have all kinds of IRS regulations, generally accepted accounting principles, common sense things that make your business go, that make you accountable to all kinds of different people, but they don't do that, and that's why things are such a mess. We need just the simplest idea that Congress will follow the laws they make everyone else follow. How complicated is that? Let's have everything out in the clear in the budget, right? Let's not have this off budget, this on budget, and change it every other year like they do with Social Security. So we need representatives that will represent. We need a Congress that will follow the laws they pass. How about this complicated thing? If you went to church, I guess you'd expect your minister or preacher or whatever to read the Bible. If you went to your tax attorney, you would expect them to look at your tax return. If you went to the bank to get a loan, you would expect them to know what's in the contract. And I don't think it's too much at all to ask to have your representative read and know what's in the bill before they vote on it. Imagine coming into my office and I don't look at your medical record or talk to you and just decide what to do. How complicated is that? Employees are accountable to their employer. Business owners are accountable to their customers. Let's have representatives be accountable to the people who live in their district instead of ideas that don't match our district, ideas that are put forth by someone else from some other district, and some party that's out of touch with the needs of this district. Because the representative for this district is supposed to represent this district. I mean, it's not that complicated. The third thing we need out of Congress is spending accountability. We need transparency. Follows back to the accountability part. We need short bills, one topic, in public for a week before anybody votes on them. These bills need to have a cover page with one page that says where the money's coming from, where is the money going. I mean, think of your property tax bill. How complicated is it? You look at your property tax bill and you look at it and say, hey, I didn't know that much money went to this or went to that. But you at least know where the money went. And if you don't like it, you can go down to City Hall, you can talk to the local people, and you can have some accountability and some transparency in the process. I was at the Milan City Council meeting the other night. They have to go through 3 readings to pass an ordinance in their village, or as a city, excuse me, in their city. They have to have 3 readings of a bill before it becomes part of their city rules. And we have a Congress that votes in the middle of the night on 1,200 pages of additions that nobody's looked at, nobody's read. Every special interest and career politician gets their own line in the tax code, get their own special deal in the bill. And it's pretty clear, though, who's left out of that special deal, right? It's you and I, the normal people that are asked to pay for it. It's the people who aren't yet born who are going to be asked to pay for it. They're going to wake up one day with, you know, the $47,000 debt that you hear that everybody has. Right? That includes not taxpayers, that includes just the people. That doesn't include the number of tax returns or the actual number of people that actually pay taxes. That gets up well into the 100,000 some range. I mean, these things aren't that complicated. I mean, and so here, I'm a normal guy. I mean, I just said, you know, like I said, I just couldn't get to be 80 and think I didn't do anything. And so I stand up like the Founding Fathers say, hey, be a citizen, go there, come back, live under the laws they passed. And they think they just want to go ahead and make up stuff and attack me like crazy. I mean, how many people... I'm trying to eliminate Medicare and Social Security, don't you know that? That's who I've spent my entire life taking care of, the majority of which are on Medicare and Social Security. It's just incredible, absolute fabrications. And I'll tell you, we do have a problem with Social Security. There's absolutely no question about it. The problem that we have with Social Security is that career politicians like John Dingell spent it, took all the money out of the trust fund and spent it for their re-election bid by handing out favors to people that don't live in his district. And that's the problem with Social Security. You know, I'm sorry to say that Al Gore didn't invent the lockbox, but we need to have one. And there used to be a lockbox, and that was until the Medicare bill in 1965 when Congressman Dingell voted to let that money go into the general fund and be spent by anybody willy-nilly. In fact, they've now done that with the Medicare, which goes into the general budget under the new health care bill. We need to have the people that run in the government-run program, just like it is now, deducted out of your paycheck, sent to the government, but be put into a situation where career politicians can't loot it for their personal interest and re-election bids via the special interest in big business. We need that money to be there for the people that put the money away for their retirement later on. There's no question about it. Congressman John Dingell has been one of the most powerful men in Congress. It's just a shame that he didn't use that for the citizens of the 15th District or the people in Michigan. From 1981 until 1994, when he was chair of the most powerful committee in Congress, Energy and Commerce, according to the United States Census Bureau, the state of Michigan over those 13-14 years ranked 46th out of 50 in return on money sent to Washington. And the problem with that, of course, is that money got sent up to all of these other states, and now our kids are leaving this state at record rates with their fantastic education from the University of Michigan, all the other fine universities, chasing that money that John Dingell sent off to other states, so that we're left behind aging faster than the state of Florida. John Dingell may have had power in Congress as the head of big committees, but unfortunately it was used for Nancy Pelosi's agenda and not the people in the 15th District of Michigan. I'm sorry to say it hasn't got much better in the last 35 years. We've made it all the way up to 44th at 83 cents on the dollar. Imagine if we had that extra money here in our pocket to spend in our community, to spend in our local school, to pay the tuition that needs to be paid, to invest in the businesses, to create jobs and hire more people like we need here in the state of Michigan. The state of Michigan, obviously, has had a problem for a long time here, 7-8 years of recession. You know, we know that career politicians who've never done anything but live in Washington, D.C. have any idea on how to create a job. They don't know about how to add ingredients to a pie, grow the pie, and share it with employees and with communities and with the local authorities. You know, our problem is we send this money off and it never comes back. Let's keep that money in the state. Let's let the local governments have that money. Let's let the state governments have that money. I mean, would you rather have Rick Snyder in charge of that budget or the politicians in Washington, D.C.? We need to have the money closer to home with local control so that when you go to the football game or when you go to the coffee shop and you see that local politician, your local representative, or Lansing an hour away, you can say, man, Joe, what in the world are you doing? You need to stop that craziness. And there's direct accountability. We cannot have taxes rise on January 1st the way they have planned. The increase in taxes on January 1st to the 15th District of Michigan is $947 million. That's $947 million, almost $1 billion, sent off to Washington, D.C. to once again go off to another state, never come home. So our kids will follow it even more. That's money that, again, needs to stay in this state, in this district, so that we can invest it in our local jobs, communities, and housing markets to create these jobs. The cap and tax bill is absolute insanity for the 15th District. The state of Michigan has lost 50% of all the manufacturing jobs lost in the country in the last couple of years. And it will put us at an even greater disadvantage. Average cost for a household in this 15th District is on the order of $1,700 extra. That's after you're paying your increased taxes January 1st. That is not a good bill for Michigan. And it's one of the rare times that I've agreed with Congressman Dingell. He called the cap and trade bill a big hidden tax, one of the biggest tax increases in the history of the United States. I agree with him. I just can't figure out why he went ahead and voted for it. I heard somebody mention the health care bill. We have problems with our health care situation in terms of coverage, pre-existing conditions, the chronically uninsured. There are real problems there that need to be addressed. But I'll tell you what, we need more in Washington than you have in the Hippocratic Oath, which is do no harm. And we don't need 2,800-page bills that nobody knows what's in it and have all kinds of crazy things. I mean, a health bill has a tax on tanning salons. A health bill has $600 1099s for businesses to create an army of new paperwork to push around. How many have seen the video that we've gotten from one of our events from Dr. David Janet that's gone viral, up over about 150,000 hits in 4 days? Absolutely. There's a lot in this bill that people don't know about. So we have real problems. But when a doctor looks at a problem, they say, well, we need to do no harm. We need to fix the problem. I mean, a chemotherapy 20 years ago killed the whole organism and people barely survived the treatment. Now we have targeted chemotherapy, which goes to the problem, not destroy the whole organism. And what we have with this health care bill is that we have a situation where we're killing off the whole organism. We have the best health care in the United States, despite how they want to manipulate the statistics. We have people from around the world, they buy the hotels next to the Cleveland Clinic, they buy the hotels next to the Mayo Clinic, so they can send all the people from their country here to get their health care. I don't think that means we have bad health care. We do have a problem with cost, and we do have some problems. But if you have a hangnail, you don't cut off the finger. If you got 5 hangnails, you don't cut off the hand. Unfortunately, with the health care bill, what they've done is cut off the entire arm. And we need to go ahead and repeal that, have targeted fixes for the problems that we have, and take care of the needs of the people we have. We have an historic opportunity. The young people on this campus are the ones in the greatest danger of what is happening in the United States right now. They are spending all this money on their education so that they can go out and have no opportunity. At the rate that the economy is growing right now, the college students of the day will be in their 50s by the time their standard of living doubles. Something that the rest of the people here have experienced every 7 or 8 years. That is not what we were handed by the people who came before us in the United States, and we need to work hard to make sure that these young people of today and the next generations coming along have the same opportunity that we were given. I mean, it's only the right thing. So it's time to get out and vote on November 2nd. You know, I'm not here to protect, I'm running for the House of Representatives because that's where the money is spent. I'm not complaining about Bush or complaining about Obama or Clinton or Reagan. It's the House of Representatives that controls the purse strings in the Constitution. And we have a House of Representatives that not only doesn't read the bill, they not only don't represent, they don't only follow the laws they pass, they don't even follow the simple thing of passing a budget. Their prime function of the Constitution of the United States, they have not yet passed a budget this year. We need to send people to Washington to live a normal life and are accountable to their families, to their communities, to their profession, who are used to being accountable and are ready to do the work necessary over the next number of years to make these fixes happen. It is time now to send to Washington, D.C. a career business owner and a career citizen and a career community member instead of a career politician. Make sure you go vote on November 2nd, and when you vote, take people with you to the polls to help protect your grandkids and the next generation. And I thank you all for coming out. Thank you.
Dr. Robert Steele. Dr. Robert Steele. Visiting Congressman, 15th District, Michigan. Dr. Steele. It is so important that you get out and vote. I know I'm talking to the choir right now. That's why you're out here. It's kind of chilly. And thank you for coming out. And please tell everybody you know that this election probably, you hear this all the time, this is the most important election. This truly is a very important election. This is where we take back the House of Representatives. I don't know what's going on with this mic. It keeps breaking in and up. But here's the deal. We need to take back the House of Representatives. Never forget that the House of Representatives is the most powerful branch of government. It is the people's house. That's the way the forefathers designed it. Not many people know that. Ronald Reagan said every high school kid should read the 5,000-year leap. I would urge you to read the 5,000-year leap whether you're in high school or not. Every kid's read it too. I want to thank you for coming out. I'm Theron X. I do On the Edge with Theron on Wamtalk 1600. I have a lovely wife out there someplace. So I'll do the lost child that'll be me, over at the customer service entrance over here. So don't leave without me, baby. I'll see you tomorrow on the radio. Right now I'm going to turn it over to somebody. I want to say thank you, first of all, to Charles Bogren. He's chairman of the college Republicans at the University of Michigan. Tom Stuckey, advisor to the board. I got to tell you, a couple of years ago, you'd say Republicans at the University of Michigan, that'd be a couple like 3 people. But it's growing, it's growing. It is a groundswell, it is a grass fire. Conservatives are going to take this country back. I want to remind you that in Monroe, I'm told to remind you,